Welcome to our deep dive on the hidden risk inside a 401k rollover, the unavoidable period when your money is out of the market. First, we will clarify what actually happens during a rollover. Next, we will unpack the controversial gap risk, those processing days when your funds sit in cash. Then, we will discuss why experts suggest you should not worry about this short-term exposure. Finally, we will walk through a best practice checklist so you can execute a rollover swiftly and confidently. And we will test your understanding with quick quizzes before we summarize the key takeaways. Here is our agenda. First, we will define a 401k rollover and what actually happens to your investments. Second, we will explain liquidation and why it locks in gains or losses at a specific moment. Third, we will examine the gap risk, the days when you are out of the market during processing. Fourth, we will cover why you should not try to time the market around a rollover. Fifth, we will provide a concise best practice playbook to minimize the gap. Then, we will test your understanding with quick quizzes and end with key takeaways. Before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. This video is educational and does not constitute financial, tax, or legal advice. Your situation is unique, and plan rules vary. So consult a qualified fiduciary or tax professional before making decisions. Additionally, processing times, fees, and available rollover methods differ by provider. Let us define the rollover. When you leave a job, many investors move their old 401k into a new IRA or a new employer plan. In almost all cases, your existing fund positions are liquidated before the transfer occurs. That means your holdings are sold, becoming cash, and at that moment any gains or losses become realized. Then, the cash is transferred to the new account, where you can reinvest in your target allocation. When a direct rollover is initiated, plan rules usually require that your positions be sold. This step realizes your gains or losses at that exact time. While many people say you have not lost until you sell, in a rollover you often have to sell. It is not a market call. It is an administrative requirement. From that point forward, you are in cash and temporarily out of the market until the funds arrive in your new account. Gap risk refers to the period, often 5 to 15 business days, when your money sits in cash during the rollover process. If the market rises during those days, you will have to buy back at higher prices, meaning reduced purchasing power. If the market falls, you will benefit by re-entering at lower prices. This volatility exposure is not a choice. It is the mechanical result of administrative processing steps. Expert consensus is that trying to time short windows is unreliable. Over a typical 30-year investment horizon, 10 days is statistically insignificant. Delaying the rollover in hopes of catching a dip simply becomes another form of market timing, which is consistently shown to be ineffective. It is better to focus on staying invested over decades, rather than fixating on a handful of days out of the market. Here is the best practice playbook. First, open the destination account before initiating the rollover so there is no delay. Second, gather exact instructions and any paperwork or signatures required by both the old plan and the new custodian. Third, initiate the direct rollover immediately rather than trying to guess the market. Fourth, monitor progress and enable notifications so you can act as soon as the funds arrive. Finally, promptly reinvest the full lump sum into your target allocation upon arrival. Let us compare delaying the rollover with initiating it immediately. Delaying typically means waiting for a perceived dip, which is timing the market. That can extend your out-of-market days and increase the chance of missing gains. It also adds stress and uncertainty. Conversely, acting now acknowledges that the gap is an administrative cost. It shortens the time in cash, returns you to your target allocation sooner, and reduces decision fatigue. This table offers illustrative timelines. A direct rollover via ACH often takes around 5 to 8 business days. If a paper check is mailed, 7 to 15 business days is common due to mailing and processing. Plan-to-plan transfers can vary depending on employer rules. Regardless of method, you are typically out of the market during processing and should be prepared to reinvest promptly upon arrival. Quiz time. What is the primary risk during a 401k rollover known as gap risk? Option A, permanent loss of funds due to plan failure. Option B, temporary out-of-market exposure while cash is in transit. Option C, higher taxes owed on the rollover amount. Option D, irreversible account closure during processing. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. Gap risk is the out-of-market period when your assets are in cash during processing. Markets may rise or fall in that window, which affects the price at which you buy back in. Second quiz. What is the recommended best practice to handle the gap risk? Option A. Delay the rollover until you predict a market dip months. Option B. Dollar cost average the rollover over 12 months. Option C. Initiate immediately and reinvest the full lump sum upon arrival. Option D. Convert to cash for several months before reinvesting. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is C. The most defensible approach is to start the rollover promptly and reinvest the entire lump sum as soon as the funds arrive, minimizing the time out of the market. This mind map centers on a smooth 401k rollover and branches into 5 phases. Preparation includes opening the destination account, gathering instructions, and verifying plan rules. Initiation covers requesting the direct rollover, confirming if liquidation is required, and enabling alerts. Processing involves tracking status, estimating processing days, and following up as needed. Arrival includes confirming the deposit, matching your target allocation, and reinvesting the full amount promptly. Post-check involves rebalancing if necessary, documenting the transaction for your records, and reviewing any fees. Let us dispel a few myths. Waiting for a dip is market timing and can easily backfire. Most plans require liquidation, so staying fully invested during the transfer is not typically possible. A 10-day gap is negligible relative to a multi-decade horizon. Finally, partially reinvesting and waiting introduces unnecessary timing risk. Instead, reinvest the full amount according to your plan. Here are the key takeaways. First, gap risk is a short, unavoidable out-of-market period during processing. Second, trying to time this gap is ineffective. Third, the best approach is to act promptly and reinvest the full lump sum upon arrival. Finally, your long-term investment plan has a far greater impact on outcomes than a few days out of the market. To wrap up, expect liquidation as part of the process and treat it as an administrative step. Recognize that gap risk exists and can help or hurt, but it is short. Do not delay to search for a perfect day. Minimizing out-of-market time is better. Reinvest the lump sum promptly when funds arrive. And consult appropriate professionals for personalized advice. Thank you for watching. If you found this useful, please like the video, share it with someone who is planning a rollover, and subscribe for more practical content. Finally, tell us in the comments what your processing time was and how you handled reinvesting when the funds arrived.